The Chargers have officially granted permission for Austin Ekeler to seek a trade, and with how quickly all of this has seemingly progressed, and the fact that it kind of seems like this might be a real thing that occurs, I want to go through everything that's kind of progressed to this point, why this is happening, what you could be receiving in return for Austin Ekeler, and who could potentially fill the RB1 role for the Chargers. I'm going to be covering all that in this video. So let's go ahead and get right into things. The first kind of step in this whole process is, how did we get to this point, and why did Austin Ekeler request to be able to seek a trade? Now, the first thing, and the thing that's come out about through Twitter, and the main reason why, does make sense, and this fact that the contract negotiation for Austin Ekeler with the Chargers has begun to stall. And there's a couple reasons behind why he requested the trade due to that reason and why this kind of happened. The first step in why it happened is, one, the movement of the contracts of Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Joey Bosa, and Khalil Mack. With all of that shuffling of money getting moved to later years down the road, and the fact that you have Justin Herbert's huge contract coming up next offseason, because of all of that, it's going to lead to the fact that you don't really know how much money you're going to be working with the Justin Herbert contract. Will you have enough to be able to pay Austin Ekeler? That's kind of a big question. Another thing along with this is the Chargers over the years have shown that they're really not willing to pay top level running backs. And not only, lately with Melvin Gordon when he had to hold out, but even LT. It was hard to get LT on that contract again during all this to pay him big money. I don't know what it is, but the Chargers are not really willing to pay their running backs, and Austin Ekeler seemingly still fits in that category. Another reason, why this is kind of occurring between Austin Ekeler and the Chargers is the league year. As we all know, the league year starts tomorrow at 4 o'clock on Wednesday, and you have to stay below the cap limit before that year starts. So once the new year starts, I could see this progressing further and maybe the Chargers renegotiating future contracts for Austin Ekeler and getting everything set back in the mood. But with the fact that the league year doesn't start till tomorrow, you don't really want to put that contract out there or go too far into that contract, because you have to be below the cap before that time. You don't know who you're going to have to bring in for free agency or who you're going to lose through free agency. So maybe after free agency starts, if Austin Ekeler is still on this team, they can talk contracts. But from Austin Ekeler's point of view, let's cover why he's requesting this. As we all know, running backs is a position that is in and out of rotation so quick. And in the NFL, it seems like a position that relatively can be filled pretty quickly. Even with the numbers that Austin Ekeler has been putting up, you can kind of fill a role at least to like 70-80% of what that player was putting together. So you want, and not only that, but injuries occur at a super, super high rate for running backs. So Austin Ekeler wants to be under contract before he goes into his last year, because if he gets hurt or, if he doesn't produce at the high level, he's not going to get a whole lot of money, especially if he gets hurt. He's not going to get paid anywhere near what he deserves. And he does deserve a really, really good contract. I mean, he's been performing at such a high level. If we stop and, look at the stats real quick, 900 plus rushing yards each of the past 2 years, 12 touchdowns last year, or 12 touchdowns 2 years ago, 13 this year, and that's just in the run game alone. And you move over to receiving, and you're going to have 722 last year, 647 the year before that, along with 8 touchdowns 2 years ago and 5 this year. The most touchdowns by anybody in the entire league the past 2 years, outside of course, quarterbacks. That's incredible numbers and well-deserving of a big-time contract. But because of what the running back position is, you don't really want to pay out super high. And Austin Ekeler knows that, so he wants to get a gauge and preferably get a contract before he goes into last year in case something were to happen that could limit what his contract is going to look for the years following. So both sides of the coin, why the Chargers may not be willing to do so or why they can't do so at this moment, and also why Austin Ekeler is willing to do it. Now, I will say, honestly, I'm on the Austin Ekeler side. I 100% understand why he's doing it. Now, I want Austin Ekeler on this team next year. I do. He's a huge part of this offense, and I don't think you can just plug and play anybody to fit the role that he was doing, but I understand if he's willing to move on. The next thing here is, I kind of want to talk about what you're looking to get in return. And honestly, I'm not quite sure what the market for running backs is looking like at this moment. I don't see you getting a first rounder for Austin Ekeler. No matter how great he's been, I don't really think you're going to get a first rounder for a running back with how things are going to play out, unless it's super, super late. And in all honesty, I'd expect a second, third round, somewhere around there, and maybe not too many of them. It might just be 1 second and then some later picks, or 1/3 and some later picks. Don't expect 2 seconds or anything like that, because I just don't see it. And if anything, I think the teams that will want Austin Ekeler are going to be teams that are fringe contenders or contenders and want to get better. So because of that, you're likely going to be getting picks over players, unless for some reason you're switching running back for running back. And once we're talking about switching running back for running back, there's some options out there that could be really spicy and fill the role right away. And I'm referencing guys like Derrick Henry, who reportedly is on the trade block and would be my favorite running back in the entire league, would be an incredible option. You also have, Dalvin Cook. The Vikings are moving a whole bunch of money. What are they doing with Dalvin Cook? And funnily enough, Derwin James just tweeted in reference to, he retweeted one of Dalvin Cook's things, and I think it was just the number 4. So, last year we saw a bunch of eye emojis, Derwin James retweeting this. Maybe he's referencing that he wants Dalvin Cook, and you've just brought in, a Vikings player yesterday. So maybe you can, kind of go more all in with that, even though it was on the opposite side of the field on the defense. But, you could maybe see you move running back for running back. I think if you try to move for Derrick Henry, you got to throw a pick in there. Are the Chargers willing to do that? And are they willing to pay big-time money? Derrick Henry already has a massive contract. I'm not really sure if they're willing to do that. Saquon, I think Saquon got a franchise tag, so 1-year franchise tag. Maybe the Chargers move Austin Ekeler, exchange him for Saquon, and get Saquon on a bigger contract. But I think it'd be the same situation where Saquon wants a more long-term contract, and the Chargers, once again, aren't going to be willing to pay that. So I don't really see that happening either. Dalvin Cook situation, I don't know what that's going to be looking like, if they're even willing to shop Dalvin Cook. The Vikings in reference to that. So big-time trades for big-time names, what you could get back, I don't really see any. So I think it's going to be, if this trade occurs, it's going to be draft picks. Second round, third round, maybe some later picks. And you might get players that aren't running backs. That's the thing that I could see. Maybe the Chargers go and get another tight end so that they don't have to look so heavily at it in the draft. Maybe they, you still haven't re-signed Trey Pipkins. Maybe they look at a tackle, the right tackle, but I don't really know if they're going to do that. It really feels like Jameer Sawyer is going to play that right tackle position, and they're going to keep Filer. That's kind of how I visualized it. Or maybe you're trying to upgrade that run defense. That's been a big-time struggle. However it may be, I think it's going to be some draft picks and maybe a lower line player. I don't really see it going 1-for-1, running back for running back. So the next question then is, who could fill the role for Austin Ekeler? I already covered a couple guys here. Of course, Derrick Henry could be a potential option. The Titans referenced him being on the trade block. But again, I think the Chargers would have to dish in more than just Austin Ekeler, and Derrick Henry's already on a bigger contract. If the Chargers aren't willing to pay Austin Ekeler, who has been performing way, way, way above what his money is, I don't know if they're willing to pay Derrick Henry, who's coming off injury, although he was MVP candidacy the year prior to that. You, of course, have Dalvin Cook due to kind of on the board because you don't know what's going on with the Vikings. They're clearing everybody to try to make cap work with Justin Jefferson's big contract coming up soon, and Derwin James retweeting him. Dalvin Cook, I could almost see Dalvin Cook for Austin Ekeler working contractually. I don't know what Dalvin Cook's contract looks like, but I could kind of see that working and the Chargers being willing to go that route, 1-for-1, Dalvin Cook for Austin Ekeler. I'm not sure how the Vikings would feel about that, but I could see something like that happening. I think Dalvin Cook is a very, very high-level running back, up to par with Austin Ekeler, and, maybe not touchdown scoring-wise, but running-wise, and he's a pretty good receiving back. I'm not sure exactly what his numbers are in the receiving game, but from what I have seen, he's very solid. So Dalvin Cook could be an option. I think that's the most likely option out of him or Derrick Henry. And you also have, Saquon, which I brought up, but I don't really see that happening. Another guy to fill the role that is currently, let's pull up free agency real quick. Running back free agents. And the market's kind of cleared up. Miles Sanders just came off. He was, of course, on the Eagles, and he got moved on. You've seen Raheem Mostert come off. I actually think he remained with the Dolphins. We look at a couple of other options here. Kareem Hunt is still an option. I don't really see Kareem Hunt as a running back one, where, of course, now talking free agency to fill Austin Ekeler's role. I don't see Kareem Hunt as an RB1, but so be it. He could be one for you, I suppose. Jamal Williams, no. Mark Ingram, a little too old for me. Rex Burkhead, again, you're not really filling the void of what Austin Ekeler brought. I mean, there's not a whole lot of options. Miles Sanders off the board. They haven't updated it yet, it looks like. Jarrett McKinnon, and you're getting speed with that. It kind of feels like the Kansas City Chiefs will likely try to bring him back. But I'm not really sure, he's not going to fill the role that Austin Ekeler just had, if we're being honest with ourselves, from Jarrett McKinnon. And you keep going down here, no guys that are really, really high level. David Montgomery, potentially, I'm not sure what his value would be looking like. He didn't produce a whole lot last year, but he showed a lot of talent a couple years back, so David Montgomery could be a decent option, and I could almost see him potentially being able to fill a similar role to Ekeler, but certainly not at a high level. Alexander Mattison, I've heard a lot of good reports about Alexander Mattison, that he could be a really, really good RB, like a top-of-the-line RB2. And honestly, I think as an RB1, he could put up some very, very good numbers. But the rest of the way here, there's not a whole lot for options in free agency. Now, of course, the Chargers, when you look draft-wise, now I'm not so sure on later in the draft, but a big-time name that's been linked to the Chargers. Bijan Robinson. 21st overall pick for the Chargers. First round, you go for a guy like Bijan Robinson, who is like a top 5, top 10 player in the draft, but an RB position that normally isn't drafted highly anymore. And I don't know, last time Chargers drafted a first round running back. Was Gordon a first round running back? I don't remember. So this could be an option if Austin Ekeler goes out the door, depending on what you get back, to bring in a guy like Robinson, who looks like he could completely change any offense and could immediately be a RB1, maybe like top 10 running back in the entire league almost instantly. But again, are you willing to do that with your first round draft pick? It depends on how free agency plays out. It depends on what that trade would look like. Can you fill the roles that you need? Can you get a speed wide receiver in free agency or in a trade? Can you get some depth on the offensive line there that you feel confident in? And can you maybe get another tight end? Those are kind of the big three things that are referenced to this team in the first round. If you can fill 2 or 3 of those needs, and now you're looking at, you can get Robinson or this guy, well, maybe we can fill the other position later on, and Robinson is that big of a name that taking him in the first round would be worth it. I'm honestly not opposed to this at the 21st pick. I don't know if he's going to get that far down the boards, but definitely a high-level running back. But, we've covered all these names and covered all these options, why it's happening. The kind of final thing to wrap it up here, I think Austin Ekeler wants to remain on this team. He's shown that. He's been a huge leader for this team, been with this team since San Diego and since Phillip Rivers. I really like what Austin Ekeler can bring this team, and I think he wants to be here. He is the pound for pound one of the strongest guys in the league, honestly, if we're being honest, putting up incredible numbers, scoring-wise, even on the ground. I mean, he's almost put up 1,000 rushing yards the past 2 years. 600 plus the past 2 years in receiving, some incredible touchdown numbers, amazing option in the passing game for Justin Herbert. I mean, you're going to be losing a lot if you do end up moving on from Austin Ekeler, but I understand why he's doing it. I want to see Austin Ekeler still on this team, but I understand the reasons why he may not be, and I'll still be a fan of him. Maybe I won't be rooting for his team, but I'll still be rooting for his numbers to do well, at least when they're not facing the Chargers, that is. I really like Austin Ekeler. I think he's a huge part of this offense, and I want to see him on this team. But I understand why, and I also, from the Chargers' point of view, I could see why maybe you're not willing to pay him right now, because you have Justin Herbert coming up, because you want to win now, and maybe you don't see the running back position as a necessity because it over the years has become a position that can kind of be just plug and play, and you get pretty close to the same value of a running back. But with all of that being said, what are your thoughts on this whole thing now the Chargers have granted permission for him to seek a trade? I waited to cover this video because I didn't know if this was going to be a real thing, or if it was going to be like you wait 2 days, you get to the new year, and the Chargers are like immediately going back toward the contract. They aren't. They grant permission, and the dominoes are falling. It's starting to move that direction. What do you guys think? Do you want to see Austin Ekeler still on this team? And if Austin Ekeler is no longer on the team, how would you want the Chargers to fill that position? Whether that's free agency, draft, or in the trade. And who would you want to see fill that role the most? Comment all that down below. I truly appreciate all the support you guys give me. And if you enjoy this content, please like and subscribe. Of course, if you enjoy Chargers content, I'd highly recommend subscribing, because we're going to be covering everything free agency, draft, and of course, once we get past all that, talking about what the Chargers are going to look like once the new year comes around. So if you want to see that content, I'd highly suggest subscribing so that you can see that. And as always, I hope it taught something today. Hope it made you smile. Hope it made you laugh. Something really important to me. Affects most day in a great way. And as always, you guys all be safe out there.